I'm just glad I was able to share my opinion on all the 16-bit Mortal Kombat.
I got a packetry in the mail, which admittedly is kind of strange because you don't live here.
Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Sega Genesis vs. Super Nintendo, where here we review the final leg of the 16-bit Mortal Kombat games. I think. Unless there's a super de-duper version that I don't know about. Anyway. Hey Bill, I know you're hard at work at something that's been long awaited, but do you mind putting that down and helping me review this?
What game?
Ultimate Mortal...
No.
So again, Mortal Kombat 3 was released in the arcades in 1995 and later... Now, come later that year, Midway released Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. Now, like its predecessor, it first hit the arcades with home ports following afterwards. Now, none of the ports are identical to the original arcade release, as some elements were missing, but there were improvements in other areas. Now, one question is, why? Why would Midway release an update to MK3 so soon? Well, don't quote me on this, but maybe they heard some of the criticisms on it and decided to make some improvements, and then charge more money to the fans for it. Hey, it's worked for Capcom, so why not us? I guess you could consider Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 to be the definitive edition of this game, and the one to get. First and foremost is its roster. To many, the original roster of Mortal Kombat 3 was a bit lackluster, understandably so. So for this update, they added many characters from previous games. But not all the favorites are here, as there's still no Raiden or Johnny Cage. And even stranger, Shiva, who was in the first incarnation of Mortal Kombat 3, was left out here. But that does not matter, because guess who's back? Hello, Scorpion, my old friend, and I see you brought your spears with you as well. Also included are Jade, Kitana, Reptile, Ermac, Melina, and the classic Sub-Zero. Also, this game features the characters Rain and the one and only Noob Saibot, which, yes, is Boon Tobias spelled backwards. You can also unlock Motaro and Shao Kahn for 2-player mode. So the roster is more on point here. But how about the gameplay? Now, for the most part, it is exactly identical to MK3. There are 6 buttons, all are used. 2 punches, 2 kicks, a block, and a run. And good news, when playing Ultimate, I got better using the run button. Yay me! It can be useful, you just have to pick the right time to use it. All in all, the control functions are responsive and well done, just like in the previous game. But I did notice that sometimes when one character does a leg sweep attack, it can still connect even when there's quite a lot of distance between the characters. Now the classic MK attacks all return here, from the rapid punches to the uppercuts, etc. But something that I noticed is that in the core cast, there seems to be no real body type differences. Now what I mean is that there's no big hulking characters like Zangief, for example. In fact, many of them are just color swaps with different moves. Speaking of which, some of them have these teleport moves that can get pretty ridiculous. Welcome to Spam City. Now while the core controls are the same, there were alterations to the characters' chain combos, as some of them will require different button presses. But the biggest change is that the abnormalities were taken out. I guess they didn't go over that well. However, in their place you have the much cooler brutalities, where you enter a string of attack combos which end with your opponent being taken down in a vicious faction. And of course, the fatalities, babalities, and friendships all return with a few alterations as well. Fatality. Well, that was excessive. Oddly enough, one critique I received from my Mortal Kombat 3 review came from Will. He stated that he could not see any real difference in the graphics between the Super Nintendo and the Sega Genesis ports. Now, I said in that review that there was a distinct drop in quality on the Sega one. Now, to be fair, I suppose that if you were just seeing the game moving and passing, they really do look identical. But from my point of view, when I was playing these games for a few hours at a time back to back, I could see the difference more. There are also some differences, like the Super Nintendo main menu having this brick wall in the background for extra effect. The Sega Genesis does still, to me anyway, look a little more blurry, especially when it comes to the backgrounds. The Super Nintendo has the edge with its bright colors. Now let's talk about the backgrounds. The SNES features 5 new stages, including the famous Scorpion's Lair, aka Hell. The Sega one has these backgrounds too, but also features the ones from the original as well, so the Sega Genesis version does have more backgrounds. The announcer does not say the fighter's name in either game, and there's also some sound effect differences as well. In the Sega one, I can hear a little more commentary from the announcer and more expressive sound effects by comparison. Again, when you press the start game, you can choose which tower you would like to challenge, only this time there are 4 instead of 3, and each stage has an endurance round where you face back-to-back opponents. By the way, on the Sega, Con mocks you if you choose the Tower Novice. Beside the normal Mortal Kombat game, you can also engage in multiplayer modes. One is a 2-on-2 versus, where player 1 and player 2 select 2 characters and go to war in endurance rounds, and an 8-man tournament. Here, the 2 players face off while picking 4 characters each and complete in brackets, which is cool, because I love tournaments. And like before, the Ultimate versions feature those good old-fashioned secrets and cheat codes. And again, the Super Nintendo version does have more than the Sega Genesis one, including the good old pause button feature. Best secret in my opinion. So ultimately, how do I feel about Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3? Well, it definitely is a step up from the original, and if you're going to get an MK3 game, well, this is the one to get. Whether on the Super Nintendo or the Sega Genesis, both ports are well done. It does feel to me, at least, as the pinnacle of the 16-bit era MK games. And Con is still a asshole. Oh, man. Ugh.
Loser.
How are you so good at this game?
Simple, because I have the power. Nintendo power.
Anyway, that was our review of Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, Sega Genesis vs. Super Nintendo. I'm your host, Eugene Morris. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time. And what game will we be reviewing next time? I don't know. But one thing's for sure, it won't be a retro Mortal Kombat game.
Well, there's always this one.
Oh.